Welcome everyone once again to the Spanish Breakfast Show live on YouTooSpain. I'm Skatz and I'm finding the answers to lots of your questions about how to move to Spain, how to fit in and what it's like to live there by speaking to experts, expats and people with a story to tell. You can ask your questions right now in the chat box, which is over there or down there, depending on what device you're on. Or if you're not watching live, you can ask in the comments below. Either way, I'll get you your answers. My lovely wife Liz is looking in and will be on the chat under the name Elizabeth Scattergood Aromatherapy. So if I miss any questions, she'll pass them on to me and you can give her a wave if you like, everyone. Hello, Liz. So today on this Easter special, we're going to be talking about what it's like to be self-employed in Spain, how to fit in, and what this particular Easter festival time is all about. So I'm being joined by someone who moved to Spain years ago from England with her family. She's a self-employed musician and music teacher, and I'm almost certain she's going to be my landlady when all the jigsaw pieces have fallen into place and we can finally move there ourselves. So be very nice to her. Send her some flowers. She's lovely. Please welcome Cheryl, everybody. Hello, Cheryl.
Good morning. Good morning, Scott. Hi.
Good morning. It's a pleasure and a delight having you on the show. And
well, thank you for asking me.
Oh, you're very welcome. And we'll be getting to know each other even more. So that'll be fun. So I have a feeling you have some great stories to tell because you're a Geordie and we all have something to tell. We're both from up there. And but we'll start with a few questions about self-employment, I think, because I know some of our watchers have tuned in especially for that. So, okay. First of all, the kind of technical questions. What do you have to do to set up as self-employed in Spain?
Well, the main thing is that you can't do it without employing a gestor. And a gestor is a bit like an accountant. He sort of deals with all the legal things for you. It's really difficult to do it without a gestor. If you're fluent in Spanish, then you might be able to do it. But I think even the Spanish self-employed employ a gestor to do their paperwork for them. So you employ a gestor and he basically applies for the self-employment for you. And it's called Autonomo.
Autonomo.
Autonomo, yeah.
Autonomo. And gestor begins with a G if anybody's looking it up.
Yeah, Gestor. Oh, there's a gestor you can use, an economista, which is a bit like an accountant. There's all these, in Spain, there's sort of different people who deal with different legalities. And a gestor is basically somebody who will sort out your autonomo. You can sort out all sorts of things like pensions and things like that. You don't need to go to a lawyer. So anyway, you employ a gestor, and he will put in what's called an alta, which is basically an application to become autonomo. And then after that, you have to pay your autonomo every month, and you submit your quarterly accounts to your gestor, and he will tell you then how much tax you have to pay at the end of the quarter.
Okay.
Now, the downside of it is that the autonomo here in Spain is incredibly expensive.
How much is it about?
Well, at the moment, the full autonomo is, I think it's about €280 a month. The government that came in not so long ago, Sanchez's government, promised to try and sort out the autonomo situation, which I think he's doing, so that it's going to be more fair, because at the moment it doesn't matter whether you're a cleaner or you earn 70 grand a year, you still pay the same autonomo every month.
Okay.
Which is, it's a lot of money for those who don't earn much money anyway.
Does it start off? I heard it starts off a lot cheaper and then kind of gradually goes up. Yeah,
they brought in a low start program a few years ago, so that you start, I think that's on 40 something euros a month, and then it gradually builds up over 2 years until you pay the full amount.
Yeah.
But that 40 something euros a month only applies if you're under a certain age. I think if you start when you're over 50, you start on 90 euros a month.
Okay.
And I think
that's good to know.
Yeah, it's obviously linked to pension and things like that. So the plus side of it is that if whatever tax you pay, your quarterly tax, you get most of it back in a rebate the following year.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a bit of a savings scheme, really. So that's the plus side of it. And the other plus side is that we've got an excellent health service here and education. Health and education are absolutely top class, really, in Spain, I have to say. And that, I think, yes, we pay a lot of social security, but we do get a lot back for that.
Yeah, and that's included in what you pay as your Autonomo, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Autonomo. It covers your pension, it covers your health cover, and obviously it covers all the other things like education, policing. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like it's worth it. It's going to be expensive for me and Liz because we're both over 50 now and we're both self-employed separately, so that'll be expensive eventually. But then again, if we've got the health and the pension, then it kind of cancels each other out.
It does, because health insurance isn't cheap here. I'm saying it's not cheap. I don't know, because I haven't lived in the UK for 20 years and I didn't have private health cover there. But for a family of four, you know, it's quite expensive. It's nearly €300 a month to have private health insurance. And in my experience, I think the public health service is actually better.
Wow, that's brilliant to know.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
That's just based on a recent experience. I mean, other people might say differently, but I think the public health service is excellent.
And if you've got a pre-existing condition, I was diagnosed with diabetes a few years ago, and although I've kind of sorted it out so that I'm managing it with healthy eating, and it's not affecting me, but I'm still registered as diabetic. And so if I had to buy private health insurance, it might be a lot more than that. So that's worth knowing for anybody who's for people who aren't self-employed. You know, they're coming in and, you know, they may have had a health condition that's still on their records. So there you go.
Yes, well, there's pre-existing conditions, and there's like diabetes and thyroid problems, which you might get you might get the premium bumped up a little bit to cover that. But there are also other problems. If you've had I don't know, if you've had a heart surgery, they might not cover further heart surgery. It might be excluded from the policy. Each company is different, but it is it's something to be aware of. Yeah, with private health. Yeah,
that's good to know. Oh, Liz had a question. Do you need to have a business plan when you give all the paperwork to your Fiesta?
No, you don't. You don't need a business plan, but you do need to state what your business is.
Okay. That's good. I think you need the business plan only when you're applying for a visa, if you're coming in now after Brexit.
Maybe. I'm not really up on that.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about what you do. What's your business?
Well, primarily I'm a music teacher. I teach one-to-one classes, and I'm self-employed, and I'm basically what they would call in the UK a peripatetic teacher. So I visit people, take my kit along. I teach singing, saxophone, keyboards, piano, and clarinet. Although I haven't got any clarinet students at the moment, but I don't know why. I think it's just lost popularity. Anyway, so that's what I do. That's what I primarily do. But I also run a really, really fun singing group called Costa Soul Singers. And we've got a YouTube channel. They're really, it's a really great group. And we sing mainly soul music. There's I think we've got about 35, 40 people in the group. Mainly British people, got some Spanish people, we've got a Swedish person. So it's fairly varied. And that's my other job. So, and I run that with another guy, Simon, who's also a musician. He's a gigging musician as well. Yeah. And that's a lot of fun. It's really good. It's fabulous.
That sounds fabulous. I think me and Liz might be interested in joining that.
Oh, it's such good fun. It really is. And of course, it's such a shame because, you know, with the current COVID situation, we haven't been able to get together in a big group to sing since last October. And quite a lot of the members are retired, and it's their twice weekly social event. So we've been trying to keep in contact with them with Zoom calls. We've been doing very small groups of four to six people, just doing kind of sectional rehearsals, if you like. So we've been doing that for the last 4 weeks, and hopefully we're going to get together and sing again and have a laugh, because it is really good. It's really good fun.
And it's the sort of thing that you can't sing over Zoom, can you? Because there's a half a second delay, so you can't sing together. I found that's been a right pain doing my job over here.
Yeah, no, really difficult. Can't do it. What we did do, we got everybody to record a song individually, and then we put all the tracks together into one track, and then we did a Zoom call. So we just muted everybody on the Zoom call and played the track and let them sing along to it, which was kind of funny, really. But
that's creative thinking. I like that.
That was I can't take any credit for that. That was Simon's idea, but no, it was good fun. But I miss it. I miss singing in a group. I miss the people. I miss doing the gigs. We raised so much money for charity, and we've got a gig booked on June the 20th, and I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, that'll go ahead. I really do.
Is there much earnings to be had from gigs in Spain?
Not at the moment.
No, I mean, when it gets back to normal.
There are, yeah, you can. I do know some musicians that that's all they do. They just gig and they earn money. Yeah. But I don't know when it's going to get back to the stage where people are going to be able to do gigs, 3-4 times a week. There's a lot of people, a lot of gigging musicians get involved in jam sessions as well. So they'll be in a group who will be the core band and go to a venue and do a jam session so people can come up and play. And the venues the venues will pay the band to do that. The live music scene, actually I'm going to see some live music tonight, which is the first time in months, well over a year. So I'm hoping that's going to pick up. But yeah, I mean, if you're good at what you do, then yeah, you're going to make a living at it. And there's a lot of entertainment here in the Costa del Sol.
Do you think, is it a good living? I mean, do you know what the pay is like?
I couldn't possibly say. Each venue pays differently. There's no musicians union here in Spain. There's no minimum fee. There's no legislation. So if to do a typical gig of, if you're an instrumentalist, a typical gig you're playing in a band, you might get paid 60 euros for a 45-minute set. You might get paid 150 euros. You might get paid 200 euros. It depends on the venue, really, and who's employing you. Yeah. So it varies greatly. It really does vary greatly. In fact, if you're playing a band and you're an instrumentalist, you've got more chance of earning more money than if you're a solo singer playing singing along to backing tracks.
Okay.
So
that's good to know. Righto. By the way, watchers, if you're getting good information from this broadcast, do click the like button. If you like us, if you don't like us, hit the don't like button. You can do click any button.
Hit the dislike button. No, I'd be offended.
I just like them clicking the buttons. It just gets people involved,
Like somebody's out there.
Yeah. I was going to ask about are the services cheaper than in Spain than they would be in the UK, like goods and services generally?
I don't know. I've lived in the UK for so long.
Yeah.
If you're talking about living expenses, I think electricity is very expensive here.
Yeah.
We don't have gas. We're not on mains gas. Food, I think, it's difficult to compare it. The last time I was in the UK, I thought food was the basic food's really cheap in the UK, like bread and milk and that sort of thing. Cheaper than here in Spain. But then here, vegetables are very cheap. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you can eat very cheaply.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Now, an artistic question.
Ah,
This one, let's see. I was talking to teachers about this, about creative artists seeing the world from through different eyes. And do you think that because you're an artist and you see the world differently from different perspectives, does that make it easier for you to adapt to changes of moving to a different country and making a success of your life there?
that's a really good question, actually. You know what? I think being an artist, you don't really know how to look at the world differently. I think you just do. I think it's just something that you accept. Um, I think being a performer, a musician, or even just being somebody that's slightly more open-minded or a free thinker, I think gives you the bravery and the courage and the confidence to tackle issues such as speaking a different language. Um, I think as performers, you're not frightened of making a fool of yourself.
This is
And
true.
quite a lot of speaking a language is having the courage to just say what you think you want to say and not be frightened and not be embarrassed and just go for it. And I've made some bloomers. I've really made some bloomers, but I once told somebody I was pregnant, and I meant to say I was embarrassed, but because the word for pregnant in Spanish is embarazada, it sounds like embarrassed, right? And I said, oh, lo siento, pero estoy embarazada. And he kind of looked at me like, are you really? And I was like, no, I'm sorry. And then I kind of realised my mistake, and that was a bit. But
Well,
you don't worry about these things, and
yeah. I
and
suppose
living
if
here in
you,
Andalusia, it's living in Andalusia. The accent is so strong. It's really really difficult to understand the locals, and so you might have your spiel all worked out what you're going to say, but as soon as they come back to you, you're like, ooh, whoa, sorry, don't understand that. Can you break it down? Can you speak a little bit more slowly? And some people do, and some people just say it a bit louder, at the same speed, the same velocity. So that's an issue. But I think, yeah, going back to your question, I think being a creative person, it has its downsides in that I'm creative, but I'm not particularly practical. Which was a bit of an issue when we were building our house, which is the one that you like.
yeah.
But I soon learned to be practical. Yeah, creative's nice because you look at the garden, you do your gardening, you can, if you like what we did with a house, you can see how things look. But I think on a day-to-day thing, I think the main thing is fitting in with society. Is that if you're a performer, like I said, you're just not worried about being embarrassed and making mistakes.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it's better when you're learning a language. I like to think about it quite musically. If you're imitating the music, if you're making it and you sound Spanish then because you're imitating how the Spanish feel, rather than just looking at the words and going hola and
Oh yeah, because Spanish has definitely got a rhythm to it. Definitely. Yeah, it's actually apart from the Andalusian accent, which is really difficult to understand. There are other regions of Spain where the accent is really beautiful. It's really nice, quite romantic, a bit like Italian, a bit more
yeah,
sing-song. Yeah.
very nice. Liz was just saying it's the same here in Kerry. It is the Andalusia of Ireland really. It's very
Right.
difficult to understand the farmers. I think they only move one of their lips, and it's very different from the rest of the Irish accents. And
Yeah, and also I think in Andalusia, I think the accent's even worse when they don't have any teeth. It's very difficult to understand. Very difficult when you go right up into the campo and you speak to the campesinos. And our neighbours, where our house is in Comares, which is kind of in the sticks. Our neighbours there are wonderful. They're lovely, lovely, lovely people, generous. Quite often get a bag of peppers and tomatoes left on the doorstep or a bag of oranges. and they're lovely people. But sometimes I just can't converse with them.
Yeah.
Because the accent is so difficult.
I was going to say that was my next question. How do you fit in with the community and the neighbours? Is that difficult?
No, not at all. No. We've always got on extremely well with our neighbours. Not only up in the campo in Comoros, but here in Fuengirola as well. I don't know why. I think speaking Spanish has got a lot to do with it. Obviously, you can't make friends with people if you don't speak their language. We've just been lucky. I think we came to Spain, well, it was 20 years ago we came to Spain, and it was very different then. There was a big influx of British immigrants who were buying up all the cheap properties and land. And I think that there could have been a bit of a problem, but I think because we made the effort to speak the language and communicate with them, we made friends with them very quickly.
Did you send your children to English schools or just ordinary Spanish schools?
Spanish schools.
I think that's better.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I don't really think we had a choice. Financially or practically, we didn't really have a choice, because when we were living up in the sticks in Comoros, the English schools are all on the coast, so it would have meant driving the kids there and back again.
Yeah. And
also it's very expensive, and we weren't really we're still not in a financial position to send our kids to an international school. And I'm quite glad that they had the Spanish education. Both of them are certainly fluent in Spanish. I would say that my youngest daughter, Louisa, is probably bilingual, although I always think bilingual is somebody who grows up with one parent Spanish and one parent English. But because she's got so many Spanish friends and she speaks Spanish at school the whole time, I think sometimes she struggles with her English, but she's very, very Spanish. She definitely embraced the Spanish way of life. And my eldest daughter, she was brought up in Spain as well, and she went to Spanish school, but she's not quite as Spanish as Louisa, which is quite strange. And she's now back in the UK, studying at university in the UK. So both of them are reacted differently.
You say you moved, did you move straight into the house that you bought in Comoros, or did you rent to start with?
Right, okay. That was a bit of a long story, to be honest with you. I'll try and make it quick. When we first moved to Spain, we lived on a farm with a couple who are friends of my husband. And we lived on the farm, and the idea that we were all going to be self-sufficient and live this kind of hippie, wonderful lifestyle. And we moved over with Holly when Holly was 4 months old. And we stuck it out for about 4 months, but it was really difficult having a newborn baby, living somewhere that didn't have any running water or electricity. And we ended up leaving and renting a house from an English guy who lives in Comoros. And the English guy introduced us to a Spanish family who were selling a plot of land. And we liked the plot of land, so we bought the plot of land, and then we built the house on the plot of land. So the house took about 5 years to build, I think, because we were just building it weekends, just me and my husband. And then we moved into it for a while. We lived in it for a while, and then I got the bug. I needed to work again. The kids were at school, and I was a bit, what am I going to do? So we moved to the coast. So we now live in Fuengirola. So that's the history in short.
It's interesting that I mean, when we moved to Ireland, we're not in the house now that we first chose when we moved to Ireland, and I think that's very common. So that's why I think people give the advice: don't just buy a house and move over there, because the chances are you'll end up somewhere else.
Definitely not. I think it's really important especially if you're moving to a different country where you don't know the lie of the land, you don't know what the networks, you don't know what's around. I think the most important thing is to rent first and find your feet and find out if you like it. You know, because it's very, very, very different living on the coast to living inland. Very different, very, very different.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, it's quite nice having the best of both worlds. And so I was up at the house last weekend, and it was lovely to be up there because it's so quiet and it's so peaceful. But then I'm back on the coast, and everything's nearby and straight away.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see what we do when we, how long we spend inland, and whether we need for our work to be nearer the coast or not.
This is it, and this is what you've got to try, really. See what happens.
You've got to suck it and see, as Chris from Upsticks would say. Yeah.
As you say.
Yeah. Have you? I've got a nice question. Have you met any interesting or unusual locals or foreigners even that you've met that really stand out for you?
Oh, well, there always going to be personalities, aren't they? I've got my neighbour. I was saying that my neighbour's in the camp up in the sticks, and Kamara's our nearest neighbour. A lovely couple called Jose and Maria, really lovely. And they've got 3 children, and but Jose isn't blessed with social niceties. And he says it how it is. And every time I see him, he always asks me if I'm pregnant. And I say, no, I'm not, Jose, I'm not pregnant. No, I'm getting on a bit. I've had my babies. But every time I see you get fatter. And I said, oh, that's nice, Jose. I said, that's nice of you to say so. And I said, but what about you? I said, every time I see you get more ugly. And he gets really offended by that. So, and I didn't know why he got offended until I spoke to his wife, and I said, Maria, why does Jose keep saying that I'm fat? Like, okay, I'm chubby, but why does he have to keep pointing it out? And she said, because he sees that as a compliment. Because they're kind of they've been in the Franco era. If you're fat, it means that you've got enough to eat and you're rich. But of course, as being English, we take that as kind of, it's a bit offensive, right? Hello. Yeah. And of course, I said that he was ugly, and
oh dear,
you didn't like that at all. So sorry, Jose.
Yeah. So you thought he was doing a faux pas, but actually, you dropped yourself in it there.
It was me. Yeah. So he's one of our local characters. Yeah, there are a few people who stand out. Quite a lot of the British immigrants, they stand out for all the wrong reasons, but we won't talk about them. But yeah, no, generally, I think we all just rub along together, and you're always going to have personalities, aren't you? No matter where you live.
Yeah. Talking of the expats, and I'll warn you in advance, I'm going to use the B word now, so try and stay calm. Here it comes. How do you think Brexit will affect what you do and the area you live? Without swearing.
I'll try not to swear. Well, I think because we've been here so long, we've sort of adapted to the Spanish way of life, and we're very much in the system. We haven't got any real ties with the UK anymore. I mean, I've got my parents, obviously, who are still in the UK, and my daughter. But as far as our life here, we have to go through the process of applying for a new kind of residency. So although we had permanent residency, we now have to apply for a different kind of residency. So it's non-EU, which it's just one of those things that I think when you've been here so long, you get used to Spanish bureaucracy, and actually it's not that bad. So yeah. So personally, yes, we have to apply for the new residency. It affects my husband's business because he does lighting, design and installations. So it affects his business because was buying quite a lot of his products from the UK. So now the things that he buys from the UK are subject to tax and to customs charges, which kind of bumps the price up. So he's trying not to buy from the UK. He's trying to source all his materials from the EU, which I think he's doing quite successfully. So business-wise, obviously it affects us with bringing products in, bringing parts in. Yeah. Apart from that, we're lucky because our eldest daughter Holly was actually born in Spain. She was born in the UK. So when she went to UK, the university in the UK, she could be treated as a UK resident. So in terms of loans and things like that, she's kind of covered. Our youngest daughter wasn't born in the UK, so she wanted to go back to the UK and study. I think the rules would be different for her with regards to student loans and maintenance loans. That's something that we'd have to go into, but I don't think she's going to want to go back. I don't think she wants to go to the UK to study. So, which is quite good because the university fees are a lot cheaper in Spain than they are in the UK, a lot cheaper. Apart from that, if you are an expat, and I don't really like the term expat, I would always say I'm an immigrant, but if you're an expat, and I think you know what I mean by that, the folk that like to do their weekly shopping in certain supermarkets are a bit miffed because they can't get what they normally get on a weekly basis. You know, their free bentos pies and bacon and British sausages and things. So
white beans, yeah.
So yeah, they've had problems getting deliveries into the British supermarkets here. Don't know if that's totally Brexit related. It had a lot to do with the problems in Madrid with the weather. There was a lot of snow and a lot of the lorries got stuck in Madrid. But similarly, a lot of lorries got stuck trying to cross the channels as well, the English Channel as well. So yeah, they've been very limited on the British products that they can get here. I don't care. I don't mind because I know that I can buy a Spanish equivalent and I'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah, we've had problems in Ireland with exactly the same with Liz's essential oils and products for aromatherapy and stuff because she was getting them from England, and now it's just impossible to get them at the same rates, and there's customs charges. And I used to buy a fair amount from Amazon, and Amazon Ireland is UK basically. It's you just get everything gets shipped over from the UK, so that's suddenly become more expensive. And although when I buy musical stuff though, I've been buying from Germany.
Yeah, I buy mine from Toman.
Yeah, me too. It's because they ship for free.
Above a certain amount. Yeah, but I think we just got to look at getting things from. If you're in Spain, is looking at trying to source things locally or elsewhere within the European Union.
So I'll tell you what. Yeah, tell you what. Let's move on to Easter. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
No, it's Easter Saturday. This year has moved very quickly. We've been. It seems like it's moved really slowly because we've been waiting for things like citizenship to come through, and but at the same time, this year seems to have gone really quickly.
It has flown by.
So you're used to having fiestas over there and big festivals. What do you know about how the Spanish celebrate Easter? Is the food any different?
I think Easter is known as Pascua here. It is quite an important festival in Spain, obviously because it being a Catholic country, and they do love their Easter processions. In fact, any Saint's Day or any religious day they will celebrate. Unfortunately, this year it's not going to happen. Didn't happen last year, so Easter's a bit muted, if you like, this year. But normally, it's a big day. In Malaga, we have a huge Easter procession. Takes up all of the city. I've never been, but I've seen pictures. And it's very solemn. And
they wear those big pointy hats as well.
Yeah, don't know what that's about. So bit odd, bit odd for me, but you know, it's a tradition, and that's what they do on it at Easter in Malaga, certainly. And there's the village close to the house up in the sticks, a village called Rio Gordo, where they actually reenact the Passion.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't seen that either, so I don't know what the outcome is. I mean, we know what it says in I know what it says in the story, but what happens in the play, I don't know. I don't know how they quite do it, but now that is an act by all of the village. Nearly all of the village get involved in that, and it's a big thing in Rio Gordo. It's a quite small village, but it's very famous. That's what it's famous for. It's called El Paso de Rio Gordo, and
Nice.
yeah.
You have somebody carrying the cross.
Well, yeah, I just don't know what happens at the end.
Well,
I don't know. They must have some way of doing it.
hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't involve nails.
Well, no, that's what I'm thinking. You know, I was kind of a bit worried about that, but yeah, I think he survives. I think it's a twist at the end.
That's so good to know. I'm relieved. Is it? Yeah. Do you think it's? Is it bigger than Christmas, Easter over there?
No, it's not. No, but Christmas here, Christmas Day is actually. I know it's a holiday. It's kind of a normal day here. Their big day, their big celebration is the 6th of January, which is they call it the Dia de los Reyes, the King's Day. And they celebrate that a lot more than they do Christmas. That's when all the kids get their presents. And they celebrate the three kings visiting the baby Jesus. So it's the Epiphany.
Uh-huh.
And that's a big celebration here. So the night of the 5th of January, typically their family will get together, they'll have their big dinner, big meal, various courses, and then they'll go out to their local village or their local town, where they will be visited by the three kings, and they will throw sweets out of their whatever vehicle they're in, normally a Mercedes, and they throw sweets out the window for the kids, and the kids all collect the sweets. And
Nice.
yeah, it didn't happen this year, but hopefully it'll happen next year. But that's a big thing here, and the 6th of January is a public holiday.
It is here as well. I think I don't know if it's a public holiday, but it's in Ireland. It's called Ladies' Christmas, and it's the night. It's the one night of the year when the ladies are supposed to be able to go out and all the husbands do all the work.
Oh, I like the idea of that.
Which is nice. Just one. Of course, it's Men's Day for the other 364 days of the year, presumably.
Of course.
That's the way we think of it. Anyway, I used to get a gig every year out of it, so it's I never
That's always
complained.
good. That's always good.
Yeah. And of course all the ladies would throw their underwear for it. No, they wouldn't. Yeah. So
You think you are Tom Jones?
yes, not quite. Is the I heard that they eat. Is it lamb, or is that Christmas Eve when they have the lamb? Is that the big foodie day? Is Easter Sunday? Is that the big foodie day?
What, Spain?
Yeah.
Oh, Easter Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, the Easter Sunday is a big day. I mean, Good Friday yesterday. Of course, it's they all eat fish. Easter Saturday here is a normal day. Everything's open. All the shops are open. And then Easter Sunday, yes, tomorrow is a big celebration day and a big feast day.
It's a big family day, so there's at Christmas Day, everybody comes together.
Yeah, although they're not allowed to do that this year.
No, of course. That must be terrible.
So, yeah, it is really difficult. I think at the moment we're restricted to 4 people indoors and 6 people outdoors. And you have to be within the same family. So no mixing of households. So the Spanish is very difficult, obviously.
So when you're not in lockdown, have you been invited into Spanish families' homes for those celebrations? Is that going on?
I have been invited. Definitely, I've been invited Christmas Eve. I forgot to tell you, Christmas Eve. Yes, Christmas Eve is the big sort of Christmas celebration, as well as the 6th of January. But Christmas Eve is the big family meal as well, and that's generally where they all get together, all the family get together and have a big family meal. And yes, it's quite something. It's a bit. I felt a bit like the Vicar of Dibley. Do you remember the Vicar of Dibley when she got invited to all the Christmas lunches and she didn't dare turn one down?
Yeah.
And so I got invited to our neighbour's house on Christmas Eve, and I didn't dare turn down one course, but the meal was about a 15-course meal. So you kind of have to pace yourself, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult for me because I'm on a keto diet, so I'm going to have to refuse a fair amount of food, I think. But as long as I tell them in advance, I suppose, and they understand,
Yeah.
that will be good. So, any other festivals that stand out? I mean, does each town or village have their own unique festivals, or are they generally the same kind of saints' days?
Well, each town. Well, I think each town has their own patron saint. I might be wrong. I know that Comares has its patron saint, which is let me get this right, San Hilario de Poitiers. And Poitiers, I think, is in France, so I don't know how he ended up in Comares. I don't know how it's his patron saint. Maybe
I think that's where one of the Camino walks starts off. Is that Poitiers?
Do you know what? You might be right. Rings a bell. So the Comares have their own Saints' Day celebration, and there is a big effigy of San Hilario, which I think he lives in the church in Comares, and he comes out once a year, and they walk him around the village, playing their musical instruments to a D minor descending scale in a very solemn, sort of stately way.
Yeah.
And then they party. They make a big, massive paella for the whole village, and everybody's invited. And the local verdiales. Verdiales, have you come across verdiales yet?
No.
Oh, verdiales are like a folk group. They do dancing and they play the instruments and they sing. It's a bit like flamenco, but it's more kind of folky. And it looks very much like Morris dancing, because there's a guy with a stick and he kind of points to the next person that's going to play the solo. And it's a very traditional thing.
I think Liz was talking about that. She said it's slightly Moorish, folkish, mixed in with flamenco.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are aware of it. After all, I didn't realise what it was called.
Yeah.
Here we go. Liz has just put down. San Hilario is Comares' patron saint. So yes, you got that right. She's seen the group on YouTube with the kind of tambourines and ribbons.
That's right. Yeah. The panderetas, I think they're called. Liz might be able to elaborate, but I think they're called panderetas. They're tambourines with their ribbons. And there's a guy with a violin, and there's girls singing, and it's quite interesting.
Brilliant.
And then they played all the local ferias. Each town has their local day where they're called ferias, where the local verdiales group will play, and generally horses involved and things. So
she says you've got it right. That's right. She's confirming what you said. She's obviously on a phone as well, checking it up on the internet.
I think you're keeping me right.
Brilliant. What is it? Little Indian type hand symbols as well, she says.
Yeah, tiny symbols,
like castanets, but bells.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say they're like castanets, yeah. And they all wear their frocks, their flamenco gear, and they all look terribly beautiful, and the men look all lovely and smart with their shirts and their, what do you call these things?
The cummerbund, maybe?
Cummerbunds.
Yeah.
Cummerbunds and their hats, and quite spectacular.
Cool. Now, anything else you want to tell the watchers before we round up? Any advice? Say again?
Any more questions?
Any more questions? Yeah. Any more questions online? Anything from Liz? I'm just looking up. It's all Liz been asking the questions. We'll wait and see if she's got any questions. I'll just flick the screen around for when we switch around in a minute. Nothing yet, but she's about 20 seconds behind, so we'll wait for that.
So have you got any plans this Easter weekend then, Scats? What are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow?
We're going for a lovely long walk with the dogs. I've even got I've got my legs out. Woo! I know, shorts. I know it's only 10 degrees outside in the shade, but I don't care. I've got my walking boots on ready.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I mean, there literally is not a cloud in the sky. Certainly not out that window, and it's looking good. Liz's final question: what's the weather like over there now? You can see it's really sunshiny behind you, I think.
Well, it was blowing a hoodie this morning. It's actually calmed down. The wind's calmed down a bit. It's blue sky. It's not terribly warm. I think it's about, I don't know, I'm not going to look at my phone. I think it's probably about 17, 18 degrees. So it's not terribly warm. It's just warm. And we're expecting rain this weekend because it's Easter weekend and it always rains at Easter weekend.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame. But still, I suppose it makes up for it with the rest of the year, really.
It's very good for the countryside.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah. So before I tell everyone what next week's broadcast is all about and sign off properly, I'm going to let Cheryl get on with enjoying the not quite so bright Easter sunshine and the celebrations.
Thank you.
Not that there are very many celebrations this year, but enjoy whatever it is that you're doing, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Sharing. It's been a hoot.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
It's all right. I look forward to meeting you in person. Hopefully this year. We're asking the universe for October, and hopefully there we go.
Great.
So thank you so much again, and everybody wave Cheryl goodbye.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye. See you soon. Bye. You can stay online if you want, Cheryl, and talk to me afterwards, or you can go. Either way, anyway.
I shall speak to you soon. I'm going to.
Okie dokie. We've lost her anyway. Let's remove there. And so, yes, here we go. Next week on the Spanish Breakfast Show on YouTooSpain, Chris from Upsticks will be back, and we'll be getting right down to the nitty-gritty of the non-lucrative visa and those details that you might not even know to ask, things that might trip up some of you on your application, things that when you ask the question on an expat Facebook page, it starts a bitter argument, usually involving Brexit, the Schengen rules, and how on earth will Spain manage without the Brits? Oh, how will they manage? I'll get you the answers anyway. Put your questions in the comments below, and if you've come this far with me and not subscribed yet, do it now. It's absolutely free. It's easy, and there's even a little bell too. Ting! Set it to all, and all will be yours. If you've enjoyed this, you might also like the Liz and Scats channel. We broadcast a live chat about our plans to move to Spain and the healthy lifestyle we've adopted that lost us over 110 pounds in weight over lockdown. Yahoo! And there's a link below in the description to find that. And if you want brilliant free yoga and meditation classes for beginners, there's also a link below to Liz's channel, which is called YouTube Yoga. Spot the resemblance. And for Liz's other speciality, I mentioned aromatherapy, and she's down in the comments under Elizabeth Scattergood Aromatherapy. There is a YouTube channel, Elizabeth Scattergood Aromatherapy, and I'll put a link to that in the description of this video as well shortly. So yay. We also have pages on Facebook and Twitter and all kinds of things. So it's been wonderful. Thank you all from me on YouTube Spain for another week. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell it to the world, because you too can move to Spain. Peace and love. Hasta pronto. Adios, amigos.